Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the 3 Days International Webinar on Recent Developments in Biotechnology, hosted by the Biotechnology Department of St. Joseph's College of Engineering, Chennai. Before we begin, I have few instructions for the participants to ensure smooth sailing of this event. Please do not unmute your microphones throughout the session and do not introduce yourself in the chat box. Post any questions you have in the chat box and they will be answered. If you have any difficulties at any point, relay them in the chat box as well and we will look into them. Submission of feedback form is necessary to receive the A certificate. The link will be posted sometime during the event. Lastly, I request you all to use your earphone for better quality. We will now start the event with a Tamil Taiwar. I now call upon the organizer, Dr. Justin Pakia Jacob, to deliver the welcome speech.
Good morning, one and all, gathered here on this 3-day webinar on international webinar on recent developments in biotechnology. It is my pleasure to welcome all the professors and research scholars from various universities in India and abroad. I also welcome all the students from various universities and colleges in India and abroad, and especially I welcome the teachers from different schools in Tamil Nadu. I'd like to welcome our today's speaker, Dr. Ajay Kumar Kunumkara, for this event. Even though he is having a lot of assignment, he has accepted our invitation and today he is going to share his thoughts with us. Welcome, Dr. Ajay, on behalf of our department and on my own behalf. Once again, I welcome all the participants. Good luck. Now, I call upon Dr. G. Srikumar, HOD of our department, to deliver the keynote address.
Good morning, everybody. I take pleasure in announcing that the Department of Biotechnology is hosting an international webinar on recent developments in biotechnology. It's a 3 days program between 29th, 30th of this month and 1st July next month. Since there are audiences from various places, I wish to brief some highlights about our college and department. The St. Joseph College of Engineering is one of the top colleges in India with 160th position as per current NIRF ranking. It has got 26 years of high reputation in educational society with the NAC A+ grade accreditation. It is having 10 UG programs and 7 PG programs with an affiliation from Anna University, Chennai. Coming to our Department of Biotechnology has been started in the year 2002 and having BTech and MTech biotechnology programs. In that way, so far we have bagged 139 university ranks with 10 golds and 7 silver medals with 100% pass percentage. I should emphasize here that every year our students bag 40% of the total ranks that are declared by Anna University. The department has got high-end laboratory facilities and fetched research grant recognition to do PhD program and having more than 1.1 crores of rupees as government funding for conducting research. All of you are well aware that the current pandemic outbreak has paralyzed the entire world into standstill and enforce a psychological pressure in the minds of academicians and students. Despite this unseen circumstances, our biotech department still wishes to keep the people educated and about the ongoing research and development occurring in our field. It is the third international event being organized by our department within a span of 1 month. The depth of the research, quality of the research, and purpose of the research always vary with the time and places. However, the goal of the research remains same wherever it is being conducted. It is nothing but service to humankind. In order to keep ourselves linked to ascertain the level of research and scientific interactions are the only resort available. Technical lectures like this would provide an affable environment for us to freely exchange our views with actual researchers. By keeping all these things in mind, Department of Biotechnology has decided to organize international webinar on recent developments in biotechnology. For this, we have put together 3 eminent and august speakers from India and abroad. That is Dr. Ajay Kannumarakara, professor from IIT Guwahati, Dr. Selvaraj Arogyaraj, assistant professor, Sejong University, Republic of Korea, and Dr. P. Muralidharan, professor, CL Bade Mehta College of Pharmacy, Chennai. This event will include technical talks focusing on chronic diseases and nutraceutical, nanomaterial synthesis, and experimental model screening, etc. At this point, I wish to appreciate the notable interest shown by the participants. There are 891 participants registered, including 196 faculty members, scientists, and R&D personnel, and 695 students and research scholars. The participants are from 11 different countries such as Australia, USA, Ireland, Zambia, Nigeria, Korea, Dominican Republic, Sultanate of Oman, Zambia, Ethiopia, and Pakistan, etc. There are 23 Indian states are involved as per the participants are concerned, from Jammu Kashmir to Tamil Nadu and Punjab to West Bengal, all over the country. With this proud note, on behalf of the patrons, Dr. B.B. Manoharan, Chairman of St. Joseph Group of Institutions, and Madam Jessie Priya, Managing Director, and Mr. Sashik Shekhar, Director, Dr. V. Seshagiri Rao, Principal of the college, and Dr. Parvatavardhani, Dean of the college. I welcome the invited speakers and all participants and inaugurate this international webinar on recent developments in biotechnology. I take this opportunity to convey my warm felicitation to the organizing team, Dr. Justin and Madam Yuvarani and the student coordinators, and extend my best wishes for the success of the webinar series. All the best. Thank you. Over to Ms. Yarini.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Our resource person for today's event is Dr. Ajay Kumar V. Makra, and the topic of the talk is chronic diseases and nutraceutical and how they are linked. Dr. Ajay Kumar is currently working as a professor in the Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, Assam, India. He is also an honorary chair professor in nanoscience and nanotechnology and a visiting scientist at Biomedical Research Institute, AISD, Tsukuba, Japan. He was elected as Fellow of Royal Society of Medicine, United Kingdom in 2008. He earned his doctorate in 2006 from Amala Cancer Research Centre, Thrissur, affiliated with University of Calicut. Dr. Ajay Kumar did his first postdoctoral work at the University of Texas, postdoctoral work at the National Cancer Institute of National Institute of Health, Bethesda, Maryland, from the year 2008 to 2010, where he was subsequently employed as an NIH scientist from 2010 to 2012. Dr. Ajay Kumar's research interests include the role of inflammatory pathway in cancer development, identification of novel biomarkers for cancer diagnosis and prognosis, and cancer drug development. He is credited with publication of more than 240 articles, including the original research articles, review, and book chapters. Currently, he has over 22,000 citations and a H index of greater than 50. Presently, his work is cited over 2,000 times in the literature annually. Dr. Ajay Kumar has also edited 9 monographs, including Molecular Target and Therapeutic Uses of Spices, Modern Use for Ancient Medicine, Anti-Cancer Properties of Fruits and Vegetables, a Scientific Review, Fusion Genes and Cancer Cells, Fruits and Cancer Cell Chemoresistance and Chemosensitization. Currently, he is the Executive Secretary of Society for Nutraceuticals and Chronic Diseases and Joint Secretary of Society for Translational Cancer Research. He is the editor of a dozen international journals such as Frontiers in Oncology, Frontiers in Pharmacology, Frontiers in Immunology, Phytomedicine, American Journal of Experimental Biology, Exploration of Targeted Anti-Tumor Therapy, etc. He is also the recipient of many awards, including the Faculty Award from KFR El Sheikh University, Egypt, for its outstanding contribution in science, and Best Scientific Presentation Award from National University of Singapore. He has also delivered many keynote lectures and invited lectures. We are more than privileged to have you here today, sir. Now request Dr. Ajay Kumar to take over this session.
Can you see this?
Sir, yes, we can see the screen, sir. Your voice is breaking a bit.
Okay, good. Yeah. So good morning, all of you. So thank St. Joseph College of Engineering giving me the opportunity to deliver a talk here. So today I'll be talking about chronic nutraceuticals. Okay. Circle. So
Sir, your
yeah,
voice is breaking.
and
Can you
then
check your connectivity?
hello.
Yes, sir.
And there is one state, it is called Assam, and there is a party. So our institute, it is the 6th IIT development. So region is also
Sir,
university, and this is one of the
sir, your audio is breaking, sir. Can you check your audio?
There is one second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Happy campus. I'll be talking about chronic diseases. So the concerned about chronic diseases because 60% worldwide are from chronic diseases. Yeah, can some so give me a minute. Hello. Yeah. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ ഉടനെ തന്നെ അത്
Sir, you're not audible. Can you check your audio connection?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible now.
So there are different types of chronic disease.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Rheumatism. Here also. What is? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
I'm audible down now.
Yes, I think you have a network issue. Can you check your network speed?
Yeah, sure. See, my
Sorry, sir, can you disconnect and join again so we can check? Participants, we're sorry for the inconvenience. We'll get back to you soon.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible now.
Okay. So, sorry for the connection and that technical issues. So today I'll be talking about chronic diseases, nutraceuticals, and how are they linked. Political map of India, and there is a red circle. This is known as the northeastern part of India. This is one of the hotspot region of diversity in the state. There is a state you can, and there, near to Dispur, there is an institute called Guwahati. Due to happen to include rheumatoid arthritis, heartburn, diabetes, cancer, etc. So in this world, those are all developed disease, against autoimmune diseases, Remicade again for diabetes, Rituxan. So these are the blockbuster drugs, and all these drugs are developed against chronic diseases, and these drugs are very, very expensive. So you can see that these are developed for the treatment of so what is the survival benefit? For example, survival benefit what that we are getting, the cancer patients Sumab, Avastin plus came to this in therapy, and so survival benefit is that if you do not so the survival benefit is very, very drugs like lenvatinib, olaparib, gemtusa, published in medical journal and ethics. What they are saying, most of the drugs approved for the treatment, they don't. So here they are mentioning two regimens approved by US Food Administration 2002 and 2014. These drugs confer 2 month survival benefit. So this shows that more approved by FDA is not giving any benefit on the about the efficacy of these drugs. This is so what it says, the patient came to the doctor from cancer, and the doctor told the patient, see, I have a miracle, since the survival by 6 to 12 months, but it cost $10,000 a month. Then the patient asked, So, okay, if I don't take it, how long I will survive? The doctor replied, about 6 to 12 months. So, if you take the drug or don't take the drug, the survival is the same. So, what is the advantage of taking very expensive therapies? Another interesting cartoon. These drugs have severe adverse side effects. The patient came to the doctor, has given some drugs for the treatment of some diseases in this patient, and after some days the patient came back and said, you said no side effects, just look at me now. Then the doctor replied, I said minus side effects to me. So this is what happening. Most of these drugs have severe adverse side effects. Not only very expensive. So who does pharmaceutical companies in the world? So this is 2019 of management at MIT created farmers market. That means the pharmaceutical companies, and these drugs are not affordable to 95. What we need farmers market, farmers, and less expensive and with minimum toxicities. Pharmaceuticals. So these drugs are whatever the drugs developed till today. Most of the drugs are not giving any benefit. At the same time, they are very expensive and have a lot of adverse side effects. So it is urgent to find out safe, efficacious, and affordable drugs for the prevention and treatment of different chronic. So to find out that, first understand what is the main risk factor for chronic diseases. So this is published in Time magazine page. This they are saying that inflammation is the all the chronic diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's disease, etc., etc., etc. It is now well established that inflammation is the main link between different risk factors and chronic diseases. So, in 2013, the whole issue for inflammation. This inflammation, what are the risk factors? Mechanisms of inflammation, how we can curb inflammation, prevent and change inflammation. So, two types of inflammation. And it is an ongoing stimulus. So, when some infectious invade our body, acute inflammation happens, and the immune do their job in healing, and finally it will end this stimulus. Chronic inflammation, this is an ongoing stimulus. So you have a kitchen, so inflammation is a flame or fire, and where you have a gas burner, you can turn on the gas burner and cook roti, chapati, or rice, or boil water, etc. And even you can control the intensity of the flame. And this is inflammation because it is a highly controlled inflammation. However, when it will damage everything. That is known as potential stress, ultraviolet radiation, inflammatory in that many chronic diseases. These include cancer, neurological diseases, metabolic diseases, different bone diseases like osteoarthritis, skin disease, cardiovascular diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome, and chronic inflammatory diseases. So what is the main cause of inflammation? What is the main molecular mechanism of inflammation? It is well established that NF-kappa B is the link between inflammation and chronic diseases. So what is it's a transcription factor, and it generally found in this and it is a trimer. It has three subunits P50, P65, I-kappa B. I-kappa B alpha is an inhibitor molecule. So when some activator is pressed, alpha undergo ubiquitination and degradation, then P50, P65 goes to the nucleus and then bind to the DNA and initiate the transcription of many genes, those many different chronic diseases. What are those genes? Factor kappa B. These include early response genes, enzymes, apoptosis genes involved in antigen presentation, transcription factors, cell cycle regulators, cell adhesion molecules, different receptors, viral oncogenes, cytokines, acute phase proteins, etc., etc. So, in activator of NF-kappa B or inducer of NF-kappa B, it is tumor necrosis factor alpha. Alpha. This is the main inducer of NF-kappa B, and this is the most potent pro-inflammatory cytokine discovered in the world. So, tumor necrosis factor alpha or TNF alpha induce activate NF-kappa B. NF-kappa B induce different inflammatory genes, and these genes cause different diseases like arthritis, asthma, cancer, COPD, cystic fibrosis, diabetes, heart diseases, osteoporosis, etc., etc. Now the question is that how to suppress NF-kappa B activation. So you can use different agents that target tumor necrosis factor alpha, like human drugs that developed against TNF alpha, but these have expensive and has a lot of side inflammation. The drugs used today has roots in mother nature. So natural products have high potential in developing drugs for the prevention and treatment of different diseases. Physiology or medicine awarded to these three people and discovered a drug called artemisinin. First is or isolated from this is best cholesterol lower in the market that has root in nature is metformin, and it is an the parent compound is isolated from Galanga ovis, is medicinal plant. So for last 20 years we have been working on a compound called the plant turmeric. So this is the curcumin. So I will tell my experience. So these are turmeric, and this is root, and you can see that it's a yellow colored roots, and this is curcumin. To know more about this compound, you can go to curcumin inhibits proliferation, invasion, angiogenesis, and multiple cell signaling proteins. Aggressive forms of cancer, and 1 year survival is less than 6 months, and it has a high. And when we started this work, no, if and these are highly resistant cancer. On this cancer, the gemcitabine was the only, but gemcitabine found that in our lab, kappa B is constitutively active in human pancreatic cancer. if you treat these cells with curcumin, you can downregulate the expression of pancreatic cancer cells. That means curcumin has high potential for pancreatic cancer. So we have done in vivo studies also, and we found that if you treat the pancreatic xenograft in mice and treat with curcumin, that can the development of xenograft tumors in mouse study. Not the only target of curcumin, but it has many targets. It's a multi-target compound. These include transcription factors, enzymes, growth factors, inflammatory cytokines, kinases, adhesion molecules, receptors, apoptotic regulators, etc. Again, Gleevec, etc. And however, curcumin is, and in addition, it can modulate other targets such as inflammatory cytokines, enzymes, growth factors, proteins, transcriptional factors, etc., etc., etc. So with one compound, you can hit many targets. Different forms of curcumin we used for clinical studies, pills, enzyme. And in vivo study, we conducted a phase 2, and what we found that or toxicity. And out of these, 5 patients had stable disease, and 1 patient had a brief partial remission. Potential in the treatment of pancreatic had partial remission. Let me tell about his story. So he will live than 3 months. However, he is enrolled in curcumin trial. So this shows that curcumin has high potential in the prevention. This is originally isolated from the of curcumin in different cancers, and high potential in the treatment of different cancers. So these are the different cancers and these are the said that curcumin is well tolerated as in patients, even up to 12 gram per day. Phase 1. These are the affiliation. So chemotherapeutic agents, cancer chemotherapy. So the mechanism of chemotherapy. It is again the nuclear factor kappa B and resistance in cancer cells. So this is one after we published nuclear chemoresistance, how important are of cancer cells. You NF kappa chemosensitization, where we have mentioned about the different genes in chemoresistance and how we can prevent or a detailed description of nuclear and in inducing chemoresistance. NF kappa B is up in pancreatic cancer. Therefore, inhibition of NF kappa may you have an standard chemotherapeutic agents or radiation that induce apoptosis. On the other hand, species induce lot of anti-apoptotic genes and survival. This induce chemoresistance. However, when you use NF-kappa B blockers like a curcumin, survival pathways at the same time induce apoptosis by its own, and then the cancer cells more sensitive to the chemotherapeutic agents. So that is a rationale of multi-target agents or NF-kappa blockers of NF-kappa B cancer cell chemosensitization. For a recent review, NF-kappa B blockers gifted by Mother Nature, perspectives in cancer cell chemosensitization. First line therapy for pancreatic cancer, and shows high expression of NF-kappa B. So if you, so what we did, we combined evaluate inducing apoptosis. So we have selected this cut. Death or apoptosis. So you can see this cell blood. But when he combined 98% certain plus C and this is the see the tumors here, pancreatic tumors here. We found curcumin plus gemcitabine in combination give in suppressing pancreatic cancer tumor volume. That so this an orthotopic model of pancreatic cancer and nuclear gene products. So on in cancer cell chemosensitization, current knowledge and future perspectives, cancer biology. So you can go through this paper. It is published seminars in cancer biology website. So you curcumin. Many people say that bioavailability of curcumin is very less. So what make oral curcumin? So your intestinal villi will absorb the curcumin. Then it goes to the liver, and there is an enzyme in liver. It is called so this glucoronidase enzyme convert curcumin to curcumin gluconide, and this is an inactive form. So when you take curcumin within a couple of hours, 90% of the curcumin will convert to gluconide. That is the problem why bioavailability is very less for curcumin. However, there are many methods have been developed to increase the bioavailability of curcumin. One method is other agents to increase bioavailability or make nanoparticles or make synthetic analogs of curcumin. So this have been published in 2000 availability of many problems and promises. You can use some other agents or chemicals to increase the bioavailability of curcumin from black pepper. So here you can see this is take curcumin with the pipe availability increases or serum concentration of curcumin increases. Shows that piperine has high effect or high potential in increase the bioavailability of curcumin. You can also quercetin isolated from onion. So both these piperine and quercetin inhibit the enzyme glucoronidase, and that is why curcumin is staying more time in the blood. And there are different types of curcumin also you can use long back. Biological activities of curcumin and um, written many other reviews to people about the potential of curcumin in the prevention and treatment of different chronic diseases. One such review is curcumin as curcumin from kitchen to clinic. This is one of the highly cited review. And curcumin and cancer and old age disease with an age option. Then this is a very recent review we published in the British Journal of Pharmacology in 2017. Curcumin, the golden nutraceutical, multi-targeting for multiple chronic diseases. Then again, we have published in Clinical Science London 2017 a review on curcumin. Curcumin mediates anti-cancer effects by modulating multiple cell signaling pathways. Sir, these are all based on study that shows that if you use curcumin, the different etc. or metabolic disease, diabetes, skin disease like for psoriasis, curcumin is known as psoria gold because many neurodegenerative diseases, other cancers like breast cancer, colorectal cancer, head and neck cancer, lung cancer, etc., etc., etc. These are all based on. So, what is curcumin? It is what is turmeric? It is known as a haldi. So, haldi is a healthy. So, health is wealth. So, haldi is or turmeric is wealth. But this is found in India, and this is an disinfectant also, turmeric, and it's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and it has many um, biological properties. That is in many people turmeric using do and wedding, etc. In Japan, there is a turmeric farm. If you go there, you pay some Japanese yen and you bath in turmeric water. So this shows that in different cultures, turmeric has its own importance, and the people discovered that turmeric has high potential. Curcumin has high potential in the prevention and treatment. in here yellow. So even the prasada also turmeric. It's very very interesting. The of different diseases, these are available in different face cream, drinks, soup, candy, etc. Publications that is 20 years ago. But when I checked on 14th November 2008 in 12,000 2019 14,000. When I checked in 3rd June 2020 publications, and when I checked today at 9 o'clock, I have seen 15,226 public 120 publications within 25 days. So you can see that many people are interested in curcumin and turmeric for the prevention and treatment for different clinical trials on curcumin and different diseases. The recent that is published in 2020 and 2029, like comparison of efficacy of curcumin gel on gel individually and in combination in the treatment of oral submucosal fibrosis, and this is for knee arthritis, and this is for with kidney diseases, and this is for polycystic ovary syndrome, etc., etc., etc. So there are medical trials are coming out on which shows the efficacy of curcumin in the prevention and treatment of different chronic diseases. So vegetables and other diseases or can be used for the prevention and treatment of different diseases. So different and then chemicals found in drugs isolated from grape wine, different molecular targets of resveratrol. And thing is mangiferin isolated from mango, and these are the molecular targets of mango, mangiferin. Genistein isolated from blackberry, and these are the molecular targets of genistein. Quercetin isolated from apple or onion, and these are the molecular targets of quercetin. Is ellagic acid. It is isolated from pomegranate. Pomegranate is known as the antioxidant fruit. It has a lot of antioxidant molecules, and these are the different molecular targets of ellagic acid. Camphorol isolated from strawberry, and these are the molecular targets of camphorol. That is why long back here and medicine be the food. Food can be getting a lot of diseases. However, if you are using fruits, vegetables, and spices, this has therapeutic value. It can be either this or the slow from these figures are known as nutraceutical. It has high potential in the prevention and treatment of different diseases. To use by uses for ancient medicine and anti-cancer properties, cancer cell chemoresistance and chemosensitization. Different books such as Nutraceutical, Dashamula, the 10 roots of Ayurveda.
Thank you, sir, for the valuable information on inflammation and the NF-kappa B and how it is related to various chronic diseases, and the valuable importance of curcumin and its high potent for pancreatic cancer, and the importance of curcumin in multi-target compounds. We will now have the question and answer session because our participants have some questions. So the first question is, NFKB is vital for other cellular functions, and its blockage may affect normal cells if not used in a targeted fashion. So, are these treatments targeted specifically for cancer cells?
See, it's a very good question. So this question many people asked me. So you have to first understand one thing. NF-kappa B is constitutively active only in cancer. No other diseases NF-kappa B is constitutively active. So if you target NF-kappa B, you can kill cancer cells and other cells will be healthy.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any implication of curcumin usage with respect to patients with chronic renal diseases? Does it affect the filtration and its function?
See, there are some clinical studies and some in vivo studies and some clinical studies showed that curcumin can be used for liver damage, for the treatment of liver damage, liver cirrhosis, and etc. So you can check. There are some couple of not couple of, there are many articles published along this line. So curcumin, the liver damage, even fatty liver disease. There are some studies already published along this line.
Um, Sir, what
Yeah.
is half-life of curcumin?
See, it's a very, very interesting question actually. The half-life is very, very less. The reason I told you, the curcumin, when you take, it will be converted to curcumin gluconide by gluconidase enzyme. So it will be less than 2 hours. However, if you use piperine and other molecules like quercetin, you can increase the half-life up to 6 to 8 hours.
Okay, sir. There's another question related to coronavirus. So, whether curcumin will have any potential effect on coronavirus disease?
See, I will answer this question in two ways. One thing is that there is a study published in 2007. It shows that curcumin can degrade the proteins of coronavirus. That is not this form of coronavirus, another form. It is already published in 2007. So if you take curcumin, yes, it may have some effect, but no studies have been proved because this was discovered, this coronavirus problem came very recently. But I heard that there are many people are working on that to find out whether curcumin can be used against coronavirus. Second thing that for this, curcumin is an immunomodulator. So what we want now, you have to boost your immune system. So you can use curcumin and or turmeric, and that will boost your immune system. And I feel that it will have some effect. Even it cannot prevent. If it cannot prevent, at least it would help you to stay healthy, and it will help you to minimize the symptoms of coronavirus. That's what my uh, you know that's what I believe.
Okay, so there's another question, and it is about, does curcumin have any adverse effect on the vital organs of human body after prolonged uses?
See, any chemical or anything, even rice or wheat or water, also toxic. So there is an optimum concentration of optimal dose of everything. If you So we also say amrit is a poison. If you take amrit is we believe that the gods, they have taken amrit, and that is why they are immortal. Okay, so but there is a saying, like, if you take more amrit also, it is amrit, it will become a poison. So like that, every chemical is poisonous. So what you have to find out the optimum dose. That is why we are doing toxicity studies in animals and humans to find out the optimum dose. So there are many studies that publish up to 12 gram per day. There is no toxicity associated with curcumin in healthy individuals. So for the people who are suffering from different diseases, this can be reduced. And in cancer, most of the cancers, what we observed, that 8 gram per day is the best dose of curcumin.
Thank you, sir, for this detailed information on this question. There's one question which is about, we know that if a drug inhibits BCL2 family proteins, it will initiate apoptosis in cancer cells. But if the cancer cell then acquires a mutation, then upregulates caps, capspase inhibitors, the drug will no longer be effective. So during a treatment, how do you control the level of mutation?
No, can you say it again?
We know that if a drug inhibits BCL2 family proteins, it will initiate apoptosis in cancer cells. But if the cancer cells then acquire a mutation that upregulates caspase inhibitors, the drugs will no longer be effective. So during a treatment, how do you control the level of the mutation?
See, it is very, very difficult. So first, the reason I'm telling that, first we find out a drug. That's what happening most of the pharmaceutical companies and institutes also. Especially if you use the synthetic drugs, we will come to know the side effects only after sometimes 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. Okay, so we cannot do any. It's very, very difficult to control these kind of mutations and those kind of things. So we have these are all coming out, these mutations and those things, because we are doing a lot of studies. And initially we will know, it is very difficult to know the side effects of these drugs. However, later we will come to know. So it is, in my opinion, it is very, very difficult. That is why we are pushing to take nutraceuticals for the prevention and treatment of different diseases. The reason is that the nutraceuticals we take daily in our diet, so it will have less side effects even if you use at a higher dose.
Okay, so this is our final question. So
Ah,
there has been the recent trend that people have been using masks and tissues incorporated with curcumin. So what do you think about that?
mask and
Tissue papers.
oh my god. So actually, uh, you know what I say, that if you want, you take a curcumin orally, or you take 1 teaspoon of turmeric and put it in water, hot water, and drink it. It is better not to use in mask and tissue paper. I don't suggest that, and I don't go for that.
Okay, so thank you, sir. That's the end of the question answer session. Does the participant have any other questions? Okay, I think that's the end. So I once again thank you, sir, for spending your valuable time in enriching us with information and information relationships and natural ingredients that have potential therapeutic uses in chronic diseases. Before we move on to the end of the session, I would like to let the participant know that the feedback link will be posted in due time and you have only 30 minutes to fill it up. It's necessary to receive the e-certificate. Now, I request Ms. Yuvrani to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Yarni. Today, I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. On behalf of Department of Biotechnology, I first and foremost express my sincere gratitude to our patrons, Honorable Chairman Dr. B. Babu Manogar sir, our Managing Director Mrs. Jessipriya ma'am, and our Director Mr. B. Sasishekhar sir for giving the opportunity to conduct this international technical uh, webinar. And I would like to express a deep gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Vadi Seshagiri Rao sir, our Dean ma'am, Dr. B. Parvadavadni ma'am, for providing continuous moral support, encouragement, and guidance. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record a hearty thanks to our HOD sir, Dr. G. Srikumar, for the perfect logistics support and guidance he has extended to all of us in organizing the event. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our advisor, Dr. Renuga ma'am, for her constant encouragement and advice for this program. I extend my special thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Ajay, for accepting our invitation and for gracing our important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today, sir. Thank you.
Thank
I
you so
want to
much.
appreciate our speaker again for making a tremendous presentation and making a session, making this session very interesting and informative. I also extend my gratitude to my organizer, Dr. Justin Packard Jacob, for his enormous cooperation in the organization of the event. I can't just say only thanks to my third year biotech student organizers for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. I also thank all the participants for patient listening and for maintaining the decorum throughout the session. Last but not the least, I thank Almighty for gracing the successful completion of this occasion. Thank you. Over to Yarni.
I thank all the participants for taking interest in today's webinar and request you all to also be there in the second day of the webinar. We're extremely sorry for all the technical difficulties we're facing today, and we hope to see you don't see it again. The resource person for tomorrow's event will be Dr. Selvaraj Arogyaraj, Sejong University, Korea, and he will be talking on nanomaterial synthesis and biomedical applications, followed by job opportunities in life science and higher studies option in South Korea. I would like to end today by saying that let food be the medicine and medicine be the food. We are hoping to have you all tomorrow. Thank you and stay safe.